Welcome to Sort of Off Topic. This is my beautiful and talented and very smart friend named Max, and you better fucking respect her.
And this is Jamie, my non-romantic life partner, who I would kill or die for 1,000 times over. And if you can't respect her, then you can't respect me. And if you can't respect me, you better get ready for a knuckle sandwich, baby.
Hello, and welcome
To sort of
Off Topic. What? The last in the installments, or is it?
Who's to say?
Not us. What do we do? Plan this?
Yes, so much. Janie, I got a story for you today.
Well, this is the podcast.
Oh, hey.
Max, you gotta tell them what this is yet. What if this is the first time tuning in?
We've done so many of these. It seems like they should just already know. If you don't know already, do some research and then come back to us.
No, I'll tell you. Let me just tell you very quickly. This is usually a podcast where Max and I tell each other fairy tales and folk tales and mythology. By the way, my name is Janie and that is Max. So that's usually what we do. For a very special little seasonal limited edition thing, though, we also go off topic and we talk about things that just interest us that week. And it's pretty fun and, short-lived. So it's here while it's here and enjoy it.
Yeah, they don't go away after we finish the season. They're going to be available forever. But
they don't air every week like our regular podcast. So
yeah,
that's
just
something fun about the off topics.
Just a fun little bonus that you get.
This season, if you go back, we talked about Fleetwood Mac and all their many affairs and that one guy that just fucked off to join a cult. Talked about shipwrecks and the Goonies. Talked about No Man's Land and lawless America in 1820. There's a whole range of topics that we have covered. And we talked Pharaoh Queens.
Yes.
Almost lost to history. This has been a fun season. Dear David. Guys, how'd you like Dear David? The one that gave us both nightmares.
Whoop, whoop.
So with all of that, that's what we're doing today. And Max is going to be doing her third and final one. We're excited. And if you like this episode and you want to talk to us about it, you can join our Discord by going onto our Patreon and spending $3 to become #TeamTroll, or you could pay us $7 and get the Discord access plus a monthly bonus episode.
So the sort of off topics are a bonus episode in their own right, but of a different thing. Mm-hmm. The bonus episodes that you get through the Patreon are a regular episode, but a bonus that you only get through the Patreon.
It's very fun. So go check that out. But for now, Max, because you obviously just want to jump into the story.
Obviously, I do.
Tell me a tale while I sit back and drink tea.
All right, good. The story that I have for you today is The Green Children of Woolpit.
Am I a green child of Woolpit?
You might be.
I might be. I'm a Taurus. Is that the only qualification?
Why would...
A Taurus in a wolf pit?
No. What? Where are you getting any of this from?
No, Tauruses are green.
What? Are they?
Tauruses are obviously green.
You're just making shit up now.
Libras are purple. Aries are orange. Cancers are red.
Is this a weird synesthesia thing, or are you getting this from a source?
No, it might be a weird synesthesia thing. Geminis are periwinkle blue.
I agree with that, actually. And I don't know why.
Leos are yellow. Not bright, cool yellow, but a warm yellow. Daffodil yellow. What's the other ones? Capricorns are light blue. Pisces are pink. That one's easy.
You're just making shit up.
I'm not. I genuinely think this. And Sagittarius is dark purple. A dark, midnighty purple. Did I miss any?
Cancer.
I know, those are red.
Aquarius.
Oh. A turquoise. Again, that's an easy one.
Scorpio.
Oh. I'm seeing red again, but it's a different shade. Cancers are bright crab red. Again, easy. And what did I say? Scorpio is a dark red. A ruby blood red.
And that's our off topic. So thanks for coming out, you guys.
Guys, let me know on the Discord if you agree with me that all those colors are their stuff. But the Tauruses are green, and I think that the story is about us. Taurus gang.
Not even remotely.
Taurus gang, where are you at? In the wolf pit.
Just making shit up. You got no idea. Not even a little bit related or based in fact. But that's okay. The Green Children of Woolpit. In the early 12th century, in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England, in East Anglia, there were a group of villagers who were out by the forest's edge reaping grain in the harvest season. And along this edge of the forest, there are a bunch of wolf pits, which is what the town of Woolpit is named after.
Okay.
It comes from I think from a Saxon term. It's wolf pit, basically. And that's what the town is named after, is it has these bricked in pits at the edge of the forest to prevent wolves from coming into town, basically.
So you just fall into a pit?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're just walking down the street.
Sometimes you're just walking down the street and you fall into a wolf pit.
And it was also used for like trapping furs and things like that. So that's kind of what the wolf pits were there for. And on this occasion, this morning, they heard a sound in the wolf pit, and they came to the edge of it to see what was inside. And they saw inside 2 children.
Oh.
A boy and a girl.
Mm-hmm.
They were huddled together. They were chattering in a foreign tongue that they did not recognize. The villagers did not recognize.
Yeah.
And they were wearing strange clothes of like a strange cut and pattern, but also a material that they didn't recognize.
Okay.
And these children had a distinct greenish hue to their skin.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Green children in the wolf pit.
Yeah, the Green Children of Woolpit.
Yeah.
Just right up at the top here. What are you thinking is going on here?
I'm thinking they are time travelers from, like, Brooklyn, right? The material that they don't know what it is like nylon or, like, polyester. It's some sort of, like, plastic blend.
Mm-hmm. These kids are coming back from Jazzercise.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. And they've painted their faces. There was like a fair or festival, and they were both like, I want to look like the Incredible Hulk. And so they were like painted like the Incredible Hulk, and then they fell into a pit and ended up in like, what year is this? Like 1800 something?
Early 12th century.
Oh my God.
1100s.
So they fell into a pit, and then they looked up, and a bunch of people from the 1100s were like, what is that, me lord? They're like, fuck. What the hell is going on?
I think that's a pretty good guess.
Just 80s children wearing Lycra.
This is whack, yo.
Painted like the Incredible Hulk, talking like they're from the 80s. This is bitchin'. And they're like, what is this? The aliens.
Yes. So this morning, the townsfolk discover these 2 greenish children speaking in a language that no one can understand in one of the wolf pits outside of town.
Mm-hmm.
The townspeople...
Again, it's just 1980s Brooklyn.
Sure.
That's the language. And
sure.
You know what? No one can understand that. They're right.
Yeah, that's true. So the village people... No.
Yeah. YMCA.
The villagers find these 2 children, and they're like, what the hell do we do with these kids that we found in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
And initially they bring them home, and they try to give them water, and they try to give them food, and the children are like sickened at the sight of food. They are not interested, and they don't want to drink any water.
They filled up at the fair on like those ice creams with like the gumball eyes shaped like SpongeBob. And like churros and stuff. They're like, I can't have another bite to eat, especially not that weird boiled rabbit.
Funnel cake.
No thanks.
So they keep trying to like feed them and give them water and everything like that. And these kids are just not interested. They seem like visibly sickened at the idea of eating any of this food. And so the villagers are like, okay, well, we don't know what to do. So we're going to go to the lord of this region and see if he figures out what the fuck is up. So they go to the lord of the region. His name is Sir Richard de Cown. He is a knight who is kind of like the authority in this area of Woolpit. Mm-hmm. Most of the account that we have of the Green Children of Woolpit comes from author Ralph of Coggeshall, who is the 6th abbot of Coggeshall. He claimed that he heard the story of the Green Children of Woolpit directly from Sir Richard himself. Okay. And so this is all recorded in his book Chronicon Anglicanum, which is the English chronicle, basically, of like events that were happening in the time that he was an abbot in this area. Yeah. But he claims that he heard it directly from Sir Richard, who took these kids in, right?
Sure.
Sir Richard de Cown takes these kids in, and he also tries to feed them, and they are absolutely not interested. And they spend days just huddled together. Aww. They keep trying to talk to the people, and nobody understands what they're saying, right? But it's just the 2 of them, a little boy and a little girl, who like will not eat anything, will not drink anything. And they're like, these kids are going to die. Mm-hmm. Like they're very clearly unwell, and now they're not eating and they're not drinking. But after several days, Sir Richard Cowan tries to feed them broad beans, which are fava beans.
Oh, okay.
And the kids see them and their eyes light up. And they immediately start shoveling handfuls of raw fava beans into their mouths.
Oh, raw fava beans.
Yes.
Okay. Crunchy.
Uh-huh. So these kids, the fava beans are the first things that they've seen out of like all of the food that's been offered to them that they're like, this is food. And they eat it up hungrily, and slowly they start to like regain their color.
Mm-hmm. Their green color?
They seem less malnourished
Okay.
at this point. So Sir Richard holds on to them for a while, and he starts trying to teach them English, but it becomes clear that, you know, this isn't a temporary sickness that they're suffering from. These children just have never spoken English and have no idea what's going on. So in order to kind of bring them into society, Sir Richard decides to baptize them. You know,
you know what'll help? Jesus.
Yeah, the English. So Sir Richard baptizes the two children.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly thereafter, the little boy, who was much sicker when they found them than the little girl, passes away.
No.
So now it's just this little girl, and, you know, she has been baptized now. She's given the name, we think she's given the name Agnes.
Okay. Agnes, which means like pure?
Probably.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. Over time, she is able to eat fava beans and also bread. So she has beans on toast every day. And her greenish tinge begins to fade, and she becomes sort of a more normal coloration. She learns English as she grows up. And for her young adulthood, she becomes a servant in the house of Sir Richard.
Okay.
While in service to him, she meets a man who is a clergyman and a lawyer. And when she is, you know, an adult woman, they get married, and she moves away to the town that her husband is from. Her husband's name is, again, probably, this is all based on recent research, so it's hard to say for sure, but she probably marries a man named Richard Barr.
Okay.
So her name becomes Agnes Barr.
Is she still green?
No, so at the point when she starts eating like bread and things like that, her color begins to change to a more like normal color. So by the time she reaches adulthood, she's like people colored.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than green.
Maybe they gave her a bath and all that Hulk makeup just washed away.
No, she was green for like months, basically.
Yeah, well, because in the 80s, they didn't care about paint dyeing.
Oh yeah, it definitely
skin.
had lead in it. Yeah.
100%.
We don't have many descriptions of her after her childhood when she was discovered, but the one that we do have describes her as being a very like fiery, sort of anti-establishment young woman.
Hell yes.
She is described as being very wanton and impudent.
Good. Good, Agnes.
If this green girl of Woolpit is in fact Agnes Barr, who married Richard Barr, then she had at least one child.
Okay.
We aren't able to follow the chronicles past that, but it's entirely possible that this green child of Woolpit has descendants who still live in the town of Woolpit today.
Cool. You think everybody claims to be a descendant of Agnes Barr?
They do. Yes.
If you are like born with green eyes, it's like, oh yeah, no, that's a family trait. My ancestors were found in a pit. No big deal.
In her adulthood, when she becomes fluent in English, she's finally able to explain where she came from to the best of her ability. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's been many years, so her memory is a little bit foggy, and she's still, you know, it's hard to find words in a new language for an experience that you've had many years ago and everything.
Yeah.
But she explains that she came from a place called St. Martin's Land.
Okay.
Everyone in this place of St. Martin's Land is the same green color that she and her brother were. Mm-hmm. St. Martin's Land did not see much sun, so it was like sort of a land in darkness in many ways.
Okay.
One day, they had been herding their father's cattle in St. Martin's Land when they heard a loud sound, as that of bells. And they followed the cattle, who followed the sound, into a tunnel, through a cave, and then back out of a tunnel up above ground. They lost the cattle along the way, and when they came out above ground, they found themselves in the wolf pit. Okay.
Like, they didn't fall into it. They came into the wolf pit from underground?
Yeah, through a tunnel.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. She also describes the sound as being just this incredibly loud sound that was unfamiliar to anything that she had heard before in her life. Possibly an editorialization by Ralph of Coggeshall, but he said that she said it sounded like the bells of the abbey that was nearby.
Okay. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but also...
Yeah.
what else could she have been hearing that would have been that loud, you know?
Yeah. So the local church is the bells of Bury St. Edmund's Abbey, which is just outside of the town of Woolpit. And it did have a huge bell that would ring pretty frequently, especially in the morning, which would be right after or right before they found the kids, you know? So that's a fair assumption. There is a lot of Christian theme that is sort of imposed on this story. Yeah. But that's kind of the idea.
Especially the name of the place that she's from. St. Martinsburg.
St. Martin's Land? Yeah. So she explains that she came from St. Martin's Land. She describes St. Martin's Land as, I'll actually just read this whole description. So this is as it was recorded by Ralph of Coggeshall. So this is, again, like an editorialized version of what she said. We are inhabitants of the land of St. Martin, who is regarded with particular veneration in the country that gave us birth. We are ignorant of how we arrived here. We only remember this, that on a certain day, when we were feeding our father's flocks in the fields, we heard a great sound, such as we are now accustomed to hear at St. Edmund's, the church.
Yeah.
When the bells are chiming, and whilst listening to the sound in admiration, we became on a sudden entranced, and found ourselves among you in the fields while you were reaping. The sun does not rise on our countrymen. Our land is little cheered by its beams. We are contented with that twilight which, among you, precedes the sunrise or follows the sunset. Moreover, a certain luminous country is seen not far distant from ours and divided from it by a very considerable river. So she describes St. Martin's Land as this land in perpetual twilight. Everyone is green and they live near a large river, and then across the river they can see this like brightly glowing land.
That's like Woolpit.
It could be.
Yeah.
Some people are like, it's heaven. Which, fine.
Okay.
So this is her description as an adult of the place where she grew up. Now, obviously, this spurred on a lot of people being like, oh, there is a mysterious second kingdom nearby.
Yeah.
There are a couple of theories about where these green children of Woolpit come from.
Okay.
Aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine with that. They're green.
Yeah, they're green.
Max.
Yeah, everyone knows. There was an idea that went around for a long time that these green children of Woolpit are the reason why aliens are perceived as little green men. I think that has since been debunked, that this was after the first reference to, like, green people from space.
We've had references of aliens predating the 1100s. It's wild.
Have you never watched the History Channel, Jeannie?
Never. What is it?
Everything is aliens.
Well, I don't believe those, though.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't. And I also think the History Channel tends to leave out a lot of stuff.
Yes, 100%.
Their experts tend to be very, very, like, biased.
Yeah, the History Channel, also very much has leaned into the ancient aliens perspective of, like,
which is bad because it gets rid of a lot of actual human history that rocks.
Yes.
So, but it is wild to me that little green men specifically are that old, you know, like stories of them. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, there are lots of different references to, I won't get into alien history. We don't need to do ufology here, but
I just heard so many very specific of our listeners being like, "What? No! Get into it!"
Someday I'll do a grand tour of the history of ufology from 1920 to today, but today is not that day. In the 17th century, astronomer Robert Burton wrote a book called The Anatomy of Melancholy, where he addressed a bunch of different kind of fields of science. And in his chapter on astronomy, he makes oblique reference to these green children of Woolpit. Yeah. It's just a single throwaway line. And it may be that those two green children, which Nubergenesis speaks of in his time, that fell from heaven, came from thence. Where he is like, oh, the green children of Woolpit maybe came from heaven or from the newly discovered planets that we have that, as it turns out, are not like on a big gyroscope in the sky, but are in fact free-floating structures outside of the Earth. Yeah. And he posits that these children may have come from one of these planets, basically. This line specifically became a fascination for scientist Duncan Lunan, who studied...
Duncan Lunan is such a good name.
I know, right?
For, like, a scientist who wants to talk about, like, green children from outer space.
It really is.
Like he really had no choice in what he grew up to talk about.
Yeah. He's an astronomer, and in the 1960s, he came across this line in the book An Anatomy of Melancholy, and he became fascinated with it. And so he is actually the source of a lot of the research that we have in the modern day about these green children of Woolpit, because he went through and found all of these like genealogical records from Woolpit and everything. He's the one who posited that the girl's name was Agnes based on christening records, where just suddenly there was a child that there was no reference to their birth around the same time, and her name was Agnes, and she was in service of Sir Richard. So that's where we get the idea that this little girl became christened as Agnes. A lot of his research is really incredible, and he has a book called The Children of the Sky.
Ooh, I would read it.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
It does. And he did a ton of research. So a lot of the resources that I have linked are directly from his research, but do not acknowledge that that it is his research, because I think in a lot of scientific communities he's kind of seen as a little bit of a nut.
Okay.
But I don't think that that's necessarily fair. He did a ton of really good research.
Yeah, and if you're going to use it, fucking credit him.
Yeah.
You don't get to judge him and also use it in your research.
Yeah. So I have like 8 articles linked in the show notes for this episode, and they're all kind of feeding off of each other. And you have to go all the way back to be like, and it's from this book, but it's like mental floss referencing IFL science, referencing like, you know, the
that makes me so
history.com.
mad.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Justice for Duncan Lunan.
Justice. I'm going to buy that book for sure.
Is he still alive?
As far as I know.
Should we call him?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't find any record that he's seen as a nut. I also just, again, from my experience in ufology and from the fact that he's an astronomer who wrote a book about little green men.
Yeah.
That is not spoken of as much in the references to this.
Sure.
It's an assumption that I would make. But so Duncan Lunan comes across this, and he does all of this genealogical research as well as anecdotal research from people in the area of Woolpit. He hears about it in the 1960s, and he launches into this research in earnest in 1993. He talks about it more on his website, which I also have linked in the description. And if you're interested, you can read more about it in his book, The Children of the Sky, which I have the bookshop link also in the description for this episode. But so there's the idea that comes to him from Robert Burton in the 17th century that these children were aliens, right? There are also obviously stories. This is in Woolpit, Suffolk, England. It's fairies.
Yeah.
Sure, right?
Sure.
The fae children from like a parallel fae world who have somehow crossed into ours and have then been assimilated by culture and like, you know. In folklore, there are a couple of links to this story. The medieval historian Gerald of Wales tells a folkloric story about a boy who skips school and is wandering in the forest, and he encounters these 2 tiny people, and they lead him into a tunnel and then through to a strange land, through an underground passage into a beautiful land with fields and rivers, but not lit by the full light of the sun. So this description of like a twilit land that you reach through an underground passageway, basically.
Yeah, following 2 children.
Yeah. And this is earlier, I believe, than the story of the Green Children of Woolpit.
So is it possible that somebody heard this story and then found 2 children and the story just got like embellished so much?
It's entirely possible. All of the information that we have on this is two different journals by 2 religiously connected men from the region, both written more than 100 years after this occurrence.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hazy resources. We don't have any kind of primary sources also. Both of the journals that are written are from people who were like, I heard this story. So there's no verifiable fact to this. But the 2 different journals that we have are written separately. They have very similar details in a way that is unlikely that 2 people would come across them or like would make them up independently, basically.
Yeah.
So it is likely that there is some modicum of truth to this. Possibly just that they found 2 children in the woods.
Because that's what it sounds like to me. Maybe they found 2 children who were speaking a different language, but who were, it's not like they're from a different world. They're just from a different country, you know, or they're from a different place. Like maybe they got lost. Maybe they were fairy tale stuff. Maybe they were taken into the woods and abandoned.
I love where your head is going. And this is exactly some of the historical ideas of how this happened. But first, some of the other folkloric connections. So this is Gerald of Wales tells this story about the 2 children who pass through an underground tunnel into a twilight world.
Yeah.
Or a little boy who follows two tiny people through. There's also in this area of like Anglo-Saxon Brittany kind of England area, there is a long-standing folkloric trope of passing through a tunnel into another world, which I didn't find this in any of the research, but that's fully just what they do in the Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah. So huge connection there, which makes sense because C.S. Lewis was a folklorist, and specifically in English literature and religion. So this is like a semi-common trope in England. It's not completely out of nowhere. There's also the idea of the babes in the wood, which is a fairy tale that I thought we had told on the podcast, but which we haven't. I was thinking of The Sweetheart in the Wood. Yeah. But The Babes in the Wood is a huge bummer of a fairy tale where it's kind of like a Hansel and Gretel story where this evil stepfather, for once, puts out a hit on his two kids so that he'll get the inheritance after their mother dies or something like that. And he basically sends them out into the woods and has two huntsmen like go and kill them, but then the huntsmen have a disagreement and one of them kills the other one, and then he tells the kids like, hey, I'm gonna go get some supplies, I'll be right back, you're safe, you're good. And then he never comes back. So these kids are just wandering in the woods until they die, and then they are a bunch of robins pick up dead leaves and cover up their bodies, and then the wrath of God comes down and smites their stepfather. And that's the whole story.
The end.
So there's this connection with the idea of the babes in the wood. There's also a connection to the Celtic story of the Tuatha De Danann.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit about it before, but the Tuatha De Danann are a race of warlike, godlike beings that are driven underground by the Celts in like early Celtic mythology. And they are described as being like very strong, very powerful, and they have constructed an underground world that is separate from ours that is like more magical, basically. Tuatha De Danann.
Yeah, and it's in darkness.
And it's in darkness. There you go. Historically, it is possible that these are just some kids, and there is a lot of evidence to point for that. In this time, Flemish mercenaries took the side of young Henry against his father, Henry II, in this area. And as a result, it is possible and likely that Henry II would have massacred the Flemish peasants in the area after he won the battle, where he's like, you chose the wrong side. Even people who weren't involved.
Yeah, I was going to say, peasants don't choose any side.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. But it's possible that like these are the orphans of Flemish peasants in the area.
Yeah. And there's just no way to understand Flemish. There just isn't. If you don't speak any Scandinavian languages, you're not going to understand it.
Well, Flemish is Flanders. Isn't that like a French variant?
Isn't Flemish what they speak in Scandinavian countries?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Finnish?
I thought that it was not Finnish. I could be way wrong. Flemish giant rabbit is the first thing that I see.
Oh, they're so big.
The Dutch language as spoken in Flanders. So it's Dutch. It's a Scandinavian language. And it's awful. It's not awful. Whoa. It is so hard to understand.
I thought Dutch was like a Germanic variant.
One of the two official languages of Belgium. I don't know. I've heard people speak Flemish. You can't understand it. You can kind of understand parts of German. You can't understand Flemish.
The thing is, though, that
it is raining and the sky did not change even a little bit.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So the thing is that these Flemish peasants live like 10 miles away.
Yeah.
So in this area, there are Flemish people everywhere. And the idea that nobody would be able to understand the language that these children are speaking is borderline impossible. It's like,
again, we've talked about this with other fairy tales, though, of like the idea that they don't know that there's like a kingdom nearby. You know, it's just 10 miles back then seems like a long way, especially if it's like through mountains or something, you know?
But we also know from like the journals and records that we have from like the abbot and from other people in the time that there was like trade between these towns. They did like frequently speak with each other. So like they kind of had to have a language in common.
So these kids just weren't. Maybe they were twins and they were speaking a twin language.
Maybe.
That happens all the time.
It could also be that like they had once spoken Flemish and then they had kind of grown up alone together in the woods for a while and developed their own variant language.
Yeah.
Possible. All of these are possibilities. This area is also known for flint mines that were in active use during this time period. So there are all of these huge like rocky mines underground that it's very possible that these kids got lost in the woods, found their way into the mines, lived under there for a while, and became malnourished and eventually came out in one of the wolf pits and then were found by the villagers, right?
Poor babies.
Poor babies. So these are kind of the historical possibilities for where these children come from.
Yeah.
It's also possible that these children are anecdotal, like sort of a morality tale of, in this time, the Anglo-Saxons taking over this region. All of like the town of Woolpit was an Anglo-Saxon colony within former Breton lands. So it's also entirely possible that this is a metaphor for the Breton sort of pagan religion and culture being snuffed out by the Anglo-Saxons that came in and invaded, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you have these two children who are more like druidic and sort of wild, and then they are brought into society, and the one who chooses to assimilate survives, and the one who can't assimilate dies.
That's so sad.
Yeah, entirely possible that it's all a metaphor for colonialism, but they're being like, and it's good.
It's good, actually. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks
Sir
bunch.
Richard.
This is also supported by the fact that a lot of, especially Breton mythology, is around this idea of like the green people. Again, like sort of in a crossover between like Breton and Celtic stories about like, like the green man of the wood and everything like that. Like this idea of green as being like nature, the Tuatha De Danann being dressed in green and everything like that. So that
Tauruses.
Again, not a thing.
That's a thing.
Just making shit up now.
I am not. I bet if we look it up, I'm right on all counts. That's what I think. I don't think I made it up. I think that maybe I'm just remembering color association.
Regardless, though, this does line up with the idea of like the Breton culture that is being snuffed out by the Anglo-Saxon colonies. So it's possible that this is something that never really happened and is just like, and this is how we defeated the barbarians kind of thing. But the big part of this, the green part. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Let's talk about the green part.
Let's talk about the green bits a little bit.
The Incredible Hulk makeup that took a couple weeks to fully wash off.
There are a couple of reasons why people turn green, right? One of them is arsenic poisoning. So this links back to the Babes in the Wood theory of like, these children might have been arsenic poisoned by someone and then left in the woods to die.
Yeah.
Which is a huge bummer.
That is.
But not impossible.
And then one of them did die. And they don't have an appetite.
They don't have an appetite at all.
Yeah, because they're sick.
And they could also be speaking strangely because they are experiencing the psychological effects of arsenic poisoning, right?
Yeah. Guys, go read We Have Always Lived in the Castle.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's the uncle is fully
arsenic poison.
I don't know if it's a spoiler.
Nah.
Anyway, just go read that book.
That book's been out for like 40 years.
It's so good.
So it's possible that this could be arsenic poisoning. The thing is, though, that none of the things that they did would have like stopped the arsenic poisoning or anything. And there would also be other symptoms that would show up that don't in the story, right? And it might just be that they were excluded because they were considered like a little bit gory, but like, there are lots of symptoms of arsenic poisoning that you would think would probably be mentioned.
Yeah.
It's also possible that this is a sign of hypochromic anemia, also known as chlorosis, which is a disease that comes from malnutrition. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's just that it's anemia. It like washes out your skin. It causes, huge stomach upset and everything like that, which might have been why they didn't want to eat. But if they just weren't eating and they were alone in the woods for a long time, it could be a result of just basically this strain of malnutrition.
There's also the idea of like, if you are somebody who has like naturally like very blue veins and undertones, and then you get something wrong with your liver, and you start turning yellow, that it's just color theory kind of makes you look green.
Mm-hmm. Entirely possible.
Yeah.
My personal favorite theory, which I did not see addressed very much online. I came up with the theory myself, and then I did some research, and other people have thought of it also, but it's not one of the prevailing theories, and I think that's stupid.
All right. Max is here to set the record fucking straight.
Listen, fava beans.
It all goes back to the fava beans.
It does. It does. Listen. Okay.
Stop touching the table.
Aliens.
No.
Fava beans,
yeah.
Right? First thought, cultural association, Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Right?
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Yes. A couple of years ago, there's an article that came out that I found absolutely fascinating where a practicing nurse mentioned the fact that that might be a little joke that Hannibal Lecter makes, because Hannibal Lecter in this time in medicine was likely being dosed with MAOIs, which are sort of like antidepressant, antipsychotic drugs.
Yeah.
There are 3 things that you cannot have when you are on MAOIs because they counteract the effects of the drug. Liver, beans, and wine. So good. The joke is that he's not taking his medication, and that's why he's like he is.
Yeah.
He's like finding a way to get around the MAOIs that he is being prescribed.
Guys, go read Silence of the Lambs. It's the best book ever written.
Yeah. But that's just like a fun little joke. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. And it's so weird that it would be like beans. Like, that's such a weird thing to not be able to have.
Yeah.
But with this in mind, I was like, fava beans is a super weird thing. As, like, I've also heard things about like pregnant women shouldn't have fava beans and everything like that. And I was like, that's weird.
That is weird.
So I looked into fava beans, specifically, these broad beans that the children were eating raw. Fava beans have been connected to a disease called favism.
Okay.
For obvious reasons. This disease causes prostration, pallor, jaundice, and darkening of the urine, specifically in people deficient in the G6PD enzyme, which is just a blood deficiency that is passed through genetically, but, you know, it's really hard to detect. It's only in like the past 50 to 100 years that we've been able to figure out the through line in these people who are affected by fava beans.
Yeah.
This disease, obviously, like it causes destruction of the red blood cells in the body, which causes like pallor and jaundice and everything. It's also something that can be passed down through breast milk. So if a mother eats fava beans and then breastfeeds her child, and her child is G6PD deficient, then her child can develop favism.
Wow.
Yes, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
But that's why they say,
don't do it. It's like an allergy thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like how you shouldn't feed babies honey.
Yeah. Or you shouldn't drink any alcohol while you're breastfeeding, is because it can pass through the breast milk and affect their development.
So it is possible that these children could have been suffering from favism. And to me, this is something that nobody referenced, but I was like, what the hell is favism? And I did a bunch of research and I had to Google a bunch of medical words. I'm not a doctor and I don't know anything about diseases. But based on what I was able to cobble together from Google, favism is not usually life-threatening, except when it occurs in children, especially boys.
Oh, no.
So,
poor thing.
Yes. So it is possible that these 2 children possibly were with their mom. Their mom was eating fava beans, and they both kind of inherited this favism, which caused jaundice and pallor. Yeah. And then that was the only thing that they had like seen their mom eat, probably because, you know, it was something that could grow. And it was something that could grow in the forest, plus protein, which was hard to find, you know, if you didn't have access to meat. So it's possible that these kids were experiencing favism, which, you know, would be a huge bummer. But that's one of the reasons why they might be green.
Yeah, and why he might die.
That's
a really good theory.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The more interesting theory is that they're little fairy children.
I agree. I think that that's the truth.
Yeah, I think that we can all agree that the rest of the stuff we talked about today is actually lies. And that they're just little fairies.
So this is kind of the story of the green children of Woolpit. It is sort of what the town is known for now, is these green children that, you know, came through in the 12th century. Lots of people have claimed to be a descendant of the green children of Woolpit. Yeah. I was researching the town of Woolpit, and obviously a lot of the sort of tourism-centric things are about these green children and the history of them. And, you know, they have all of their local signage and everything has like 2 kids on it and everything. But something a little bit interesting that I found out about Woolpit is that 4 centuries after these kids were found in the woods, a healing well began to be referenced in literature near that area, just at the edge of the woods outside of Woolpit. Yeah. And it was a place where a statue of the Mother Mary was erected. Okay. And then there began to be stories passed around about this well that had healing powers, right? Which is obviously associated with the abbey and the church that were nearby. Specifically, though, the well itself is said to be used to treat weak eyesight and also specifically intended for sick children to help cure them.
I think I need to go there. My eyes are fucking freaking out right now for no reason. Hold on. I can't stop blinking. Okay, go ahead.
Which I just think is cool and interesting, that there's this spring specifically for sick kids that springs up in the area directly where these children are found.
That is interesting and random. Woolpit has a lot of little magic going on in there.
Oh, yeah.
We should go. We should add that to the list of places that we should go in the UK.
Yes. Oh my God. I have to show you pictures of the town also because it's so pretty. All of these pictures are going to be available on our Instagram. So the pictures that I have here, this first picture is a picture of...
Okay, if you're hearing rumbling, it is now fully thundering. And if you're hearing clicking, my dog has thunder anxiety and he is clicking outside of the curtain because he wants to come in, but we've already yelled at him for coming in. So he's having a hard day.
So this is a wolf pit. This is actually a wolf pit in Germany, but this is kind of what the wolf pits would look like. It's
that is way more well constructed than I was expecting. It has like brick all around it, and there are little corner shelves towards the top, so it looks like you can grab them and hoist yourself up if you get stuck in there as a person.
Yeah, so this is the German equivalent from around the same time period.
Yeah.
This is the Ladies' Well outside of Woolpit.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, the Mother Mary statue's missing her head.
Yes, I think it was destroyed at some point a couple of centuries ago, and then they put up a new thing.
That's rude. I love Mother Mary. Don't mess with her head.
This is the town of Woolpit.
Gorgeous.
I know, right?
These little row houses with like the thatched roofs and like purple flowers all over. Gorgeous.
Yeah, just wisteria growing all over the brick and
like
everything.
The Tudor houses.
Yeah, gorgeous. Really pretty. And then this is art from the folk story, The Babes in the Wood, that has been recolored to make the children green.
Oh my God. What?
It's just like them.
It looks like Charles Dickens-esque, like Victorian era, but everything else around him is yellow, so it looks a little bit like yellow wallpaper as well. It's sad. She's like, her hands are clasped and they just look scared.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for these children. I mean, what a scary thing.
Yeah. Being green.
It ain't easy being green.
It ain't easy.
If we named these episodes clever titles like we do the others, it would be called It Ain't Easy Being Green.
And then this is the abbey that would have rung the bells that the children heard from wherever they were from.
Yeah. Space.
Who's to say?
Heaven.
Yeah, so that's the Green Children of Woolpit.
That is fascinating.
A long-lasting mystery of where the hell did they come from? Aliens?
I have already told the story on the podcast, specifically on the episode Dirty Clothes, which is an episode where I talk about the little people. So I will find what number that is in a second. But that one of the theories reminds me of my grandmother's story of, like, the theories where they have the story of the child following the two little people in the woods. That's literally a story my grandmother used to tell me. And again, I've already told that story, so I'm not going to go fully into it. But the gist of it is that her friend was about 7 years old, went missing for 2 weeks, and then came back and told a story that he had followed two little people through the woods into a tree, was there for an hour, came back out, and 2 weeks had passed when he thought he was only gone for an hour. And he couldn't speak his language anymore. They had to reteach it to him when he came out. Mm-hmm. So I personally believe stuff like that can happen only because every single culture in the world throughout history have had stories very similar or something, very closely adjacent to it.
Yeah, there's a term for that, and I can't think of what it is. It's like something lalia. It's not echolalia, but it's like where it's something that's referenced a lot in like stories about UFO abductions and also fairy stories of like people who suddenly can no longer speak the language that they have spoken for their entire life, but have to like relearn it from scratch, basically.
Yeah.
Which I just think is pretty interesting.
My grandmother lost her language. It wasn't from anything magical. It was just because she moved to the U.S. and then was afraid to speak her language, and she didn't do it for long enough that she forgot it, which happens and is upsetting. Hold on. Episode 28, Dirty Clothes, How to Show Your Rooster You Care. That's where I talk about the little people, and you can hear that story and other little people stories in full detail. But I think that it's very possible, if we're on the folkloric realm, that it's little people.
I agree.
I love that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this story a lot. I love that there are so many possibilities for what this is. Again, it's kind of a weird story because we have these two sort of ancient texts that they're from like a little bit after the time that this actually happened, that reference these events. And then we have this one book written by one guy in the 90s that kind of does more of the historical research. So you can go online, you can find a lot of articles talking about it. Most of them say just about exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are linked in the show notes for this episode. Like I said, I want to buy the book and I want to know everything about it.
I want to read somebody's fan fiction about two little kids who go through a tunnel, or two little kids who fall into a hole and they wake up in the 1100s. That's what I want to read. Thank you.
Yeah, but this is, I think that this is a really cool intersection of like history and folklore and weird science.
If I had to pair off topics together, this one and the story of Bridget Cleary, the fairy wife, would go together very nicely.
Oh, yeah.
Of like real life events colliding with folklore.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Pretty cool stuff.
Okay. Well, excellent job, Max.
Thanks.
Fantastic. You guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, go check out the pictures that we're going to add on Instagram. Yeah. And you can follow us on our socials and join our Patreon and email us. And all that information is in our show notes.
Yeah. Come hang out with us.
And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Goodbye.
Bye. Yeah, Queen Victoria, every story about her life is buck fucking wild.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that, like, there are all these stories that go around about her that were spread by her political rivals. Like, she loved her husband very much. They were like, they fuck on the grand staircase of the palace. And it was like, no, that didn't happen.
Maybe it should have.
Maybe it should have.
Sounds like if it did, that'd be fine and cool.
Yeah, but like there are so many things that
Bridgerton vibes.
Yeah, where she was like, she had all of the table legs in the palace covered up because they were too sexy and stuff like that. That's not true.
Is that not her?
That is the rumor is that it was her. Not true. As far as my research that I did back in 2012 for a research paper, but like the real things that happened in her life are so much fucking weirder. Like, everything that ever happened in her real life is goddamn insane. And they're like, oh, but she didn't like tables. And it's like, what? That's not the most interesting thing.
On cooler things
Yeah.
about Queen Victoria. Yeah. Well, Queen Victoria.